on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter for new alerts, Instagram for videos and images, and the website for the latest news, views, and analysis. WIONews.com. World is one.
Welcome to WION World is One, broadcasting live from London this hour. You're with me, Katie Pilbeam. Let's get to the headlines. Pakistani Chief Justice Designate Qazi Fayez Isa recuses himself from the case filed by Imran Khan and others against trial of civilians by military court. A new 7-member bench constituted. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz says the country will spend 2% of its GDP on defence for the first time in decades starting next year, meeting the NATO's defence spending goal. Scholz urged NATO to focus on boosting Ukraine's fighting strength. Russian official says a Ukrainian strike has damaged a bridge that links annexed Crimean Peninsula to Kherson. No casualties have been reported. US may ease visas for skilled Indian workers, according to a report by news agency Reuters. This as Joe Biden hosts Prime Minister Modi for a state visit to the United States. Mark Zuckerberg says he is ready for a cage fight with Elon Musk. The Twitter boss had dared Zuckerberg after rumors of Meta coming up with a rival to Twitter. Hello and a warm welcome to the programme. Well, after leading a huge multi-country yoga celebration at the UN headquarters in New York, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is now in Washington, D.C. It's a packed schedule for him on Thursday. There will be a bilateral talks with President Biden, address a joint session of the US Congress, and attend a state dinner as well at the White House. So jam-packed. Well, the US capital city has rolled out the red carpet for Prime Minister Narendra Modi. President Joe Biden and First Lady Jill Biden of the US, well, they welcomed the Indian Prime Minister at the White House. Well, Biden is aiming to tighten his relationship with the leader of a nation seen as a pivotal force in Asia for decades to come. The pomp-filled state visit marks their 10th meeting since Biden came into office. The Bidens, they hosted a private dinner for Modi at the White House. Washington wants New Delhi to be a strategic counterweight to China and sees India as a critical partner. Well, Modi is seeking to raise the influence that India has on the world stage. On Thursday, Modi will be welcomed with full military honours at the White House. He will then hold the crucial bilateral talks with Joe Biden, after which the two leaders are expected to address a press conference and take questions. In the evening, the Prime Minister is scheduled to address the joint session of the US Congress. He is the first Indian PM to do so twice. He will then continue his day with a state dinner at the White House hosted by the Bidens. Now let's take you through the likely deliverables of this state visit then. So quoting sources, news agency Reuters stated that the US is set to ease visa for skilled Indian workers as Modi visits. The State Department could announce that Indians and other foreign workers on H-1B visas will be able to renew those visas in the US without having to travel abroad. Indian citizens are by far the most active users of this particular visa program. They make up 73% of the nearly 442,000 H-1B workers in a fiscal year in 2022. Now, on the agenda then for this state visit is expanding bilateral cooperation in the defence industry and high-tech sectors. India is expected to get access to critical American technologies that Washington rarely shares with non-allies. A deal for General Electric to produce engines for fighter jets on Indian soil is also in the cards. Another expected announcement is India's purchase of 31 armed MQ-9B Sea Guardian drones made by General Atomics worth $3 billion. The world's two largest democracies are likely to make announcements on climate as well. It's an area where there has been varied opinions on the responsibilities of developed countries versus developing countries. On June 23rd, the Indian Prime Minister will be hosted by the US Vice President Kamala Harris and Secretary of State as well, Antony Blinken. The US companies are welcoming Narendra Modi warmly. American firms are planning new investments in India, the fast-growing G20, the fastest-growing G20 economy. Now, Modi will also address US CEOs at a Friday reception as well. The India-US bond is underpinned by not just global politics, but also business and economics as well. Trade between the US and India in 2022 climbed to a record of $191 billion. The two nations have launched a collaborative technology initiative with eyes on future development. Washington and New Delhi have been moving closer for over 2 decades now. Successive US presidents have displayed bipartisan support for stronger ties with the emerging Asian economy and regional power. President Joe Biden has built on that legacy and expanded cooperation. Well, now our principal diplomatic correspondent, Zidane Sabor, he sends us this report from Washington, D.C.
The official state visit of the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has started. He will be accorded the Guard of Honor and hold talks with the US President Joe Biden on Thursday, and there will be a state dinner as well. But essentially this visit will see India and US cementing their relationship further. There are a lot of convergences from defense to critical technologies, and there will be big ticket announcements as well. But essentially both countries will be discussing convergences and divergences and global challenges and concerns like a rise of a very aggressive China. India has been dealing with aggressive China when it comes to its northern borders. When it comes to US, it has its own set of problems, and that of course has been part of the discussion between New Delhi and Washington, along with issues like counter-terrorism and situation in the wider Indo-Pacific. But all in all, an important visit of the Indian Prime Minister that started from New York, where the Indian Prime Minister led the Yoga Day celebration, and now it will be time for hard diplomacy here in Washington. Siddhant Sibal for WION at the White House.
Well, as the second leg of Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's US state visit begins in Washington, the leader brought along a number of gifts deeply rooted in Indian artistry and culture. The White House, on the other hand, has revealed a list of gifts which will be presented to Modi as well. Now, according to the official statement, the Bidens will present a number of tokens to the Prime Minister. Among the gifts is an antique American book galley dating back to the early 20th century. Modi will also be presented with a vintage American camera, along with an archival facsimile print of a patent of the first Kodak camera and a hardcover of the American wildlife photography as well. US First Lady will also give the Indian leader a signed first edition copy of Collected Poems of Robert Frost. Meanwhile, the Indian Prime Minister also brought a slew of gifts for the host as well. The First Lady Jill Biden was gifted with a 7.5 carat lab-grown green diamond. The diamond has reportedly been created using eco-friendly sources like solar and wind power. The diamond was presented in an exquisite artisan box, highlighting timeless Kashmiri craftsmanship. The US president was gifted with an ancient Indian text that acknowledges and celebrates his lifetime. Well, the text is called Va Kansas Gri Ya Sutrum, marking the milestone of a person who's seen as 1,000 moons, as he completes the age of 80 years and 8 months. Now, the scriptures, they came in a special sandalwood box, which has been intricately carved by a Rajasthan craftsman. PM Modi also presented a first edition copy of the 10 Principles, which was written by William Butler Yeats, a poet highly admired by Joe Biden. Okay, well, sticking with our top story today, as we've been reporting, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has arrived in Washington, D.C. for a day full of high-level meetings. As part of his official state visit, the first to be extended to an Indian leader since 2009, well, partners at the Voice of America got an invite-only preview of what to expect inside the White House when President Biden hosts the Prime Minister Modi for the state dinner banquet on Thursday evening. Well, Vera's Jessica Stone has a story from Washington.
A South Portico welcome for the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, part of the pomp and circumstance typically offered to heads of state, but now to a head of government.
With this official state visit, we are bringing together the world's oldest and the world's largest democracies. After years of strengthening ties, the U.S.-India partnership is deep and expansive as we jointly tackle global challenges.
In keeping with Prime Minister Modi's vegetarian diet, the White House invited Nina Curtis, a chef from Sacramento, California, who is a leader in the plant-based culinary movement.
India is leading efforts to celebrate International Year of the Millets, and we've incorporated millets, marinated millets, into our menu and weaved Indian cuisine elements throughout the menu.
In a special invitation-only preview, Curtis says the guests will feast on a salad of marinated millet, compressed watermelon, and grilled Maryland corn, followed by a main course of stuffed portobello mushrooms and saffron-infused risotto. Guests also have a fish option for the main meal.
And keep in mind, this is plant-based, so you're not missing any of the flavors, the textures, or taste. The portobello mushroom has been roasted to perfection, and then it's just a very flavorful and satisfying meal.
And for dessert, a seasonal strawberry shortcake infused with rose and cardamom, complemented by a candy ribbon in the colors of India's flag. VOA got a chance to see the table as it will be set for the Prime Minister, and according to the White House, some 400 guests, the largest number yet under the Biden administration. The dining tables are draped in shades of green, representing growth and abundance. The flowers, shades of saffron, pink, and yellow, similar to the top band of the Indian flag, a color which represents the strength and courage of India.
And for the first time in recent memory, the First Lady's office actually let the media covering the state dinner preview taste what's going to be prepared and served at the state dinner itself. So I can tell you firsthand that mushroom you saw, the stuffed mushroom, is both savory and smoky, and that dessert shortcake is sweet and light. Certainly, Washington's intentional preparations give every sign that it is trying to set the table for a long-term relationship with India well into the future. Jessica Stone, VOA News, Washington.
From New York to now Washington, the big focus as to how India and US cement their relationship further. Big focus will be on the state dinner, the Indian Prime Minister's meeting with US President Joe Biden and his address at the US Congress. Follow me, Siddhant Sibal, as I bring you all the live and latest updates on Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to the United States only on WION.
Focus to the United Kingdom now, where the government is investigating allegations against British universities, against accusations that some of them are collaborating with Iran on drones and other sensitive technology. Well, the UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak was grilled in Parliament over a media report published by a Jewish chronicle. Sunak assured the House that the Department for Business is currently investigating the allegations. Well, the media report accused at least 11 UK-based universities, including Cambridge, Glasgow and Imperial College London, of taking part in studies with potential Iranian military applications. In one Iranian-funded project, the British researchers reportedly worked to improve the altitude, speed and range of drones. Well, the universities accused in this report said they had complied with legal and academic obligations in their international collaborations. The allegation put Britain in a very difficult situation, as officially the UK has banned the export of military and technology to Iran. The country has also imposed sanctions against Iranian individuals and organisations. The cost of living crisis in the UK is now hitting university students. Well, research says many are now working extended hours in part-time jobs to fund their studies. According to a new study by Higher Education Policy Institute, 55% of students surveyed have jobs while studying. Most of them say supporting themselves is affecting their studies, though. The survey found that 28% of students are doing 10 or more hours of paid work a week. Some older students who have family responsibilities find themselves working for more than 13.5 hours a week so that they can meet the challenges of the cost of living crisis. Well, according to the director of the institute, students who did long hours of paid work along with their studies are in a danger zone of academic underachievement. Some experts also claim that the new batch of students in England face more challenging prospects after graduation. Well, for more details on this report, we're joined by Alex Isaac live from London. Alex, I don't feel this is anything particularly new. I don't know about you, but when I was at university, I had a part-time job. I had to work because I needed to pay my rent. Is this such a big story? What do you think?
I think you're right there. I think a lot of people do have to. I mean, I agree. I also had to have a job while also taking my studies. It does feel, though, that the costs of universities are going up. And at the moment as well, it isn't just the price of how much it does cost to go to universities, but it's also generally the cost of living surrounding it as well. I'm sure you'll remember back in your days that it wasn't just going to university or college and then coming home again. It's also the activities that also surround those courses as well. So there is a lot of money that needs to be put to one side with regards to actually getting that education. But on those that couldn't go to university or those that are also getting help from the government, it isn't such such a huge stretch. So it does feel at the moment there is this kind of lax between those who are attending and those who have chosen a different path. And the government has for the last couple of years also trying to be pushing apprenticeships forward to make that more of a permanent role into the job market rather than universities, which some have said that they are struggling and are having to take on more foreign international students to help get that costs up. They're saying that their budgets are being affected by UK nationals not going to university, so they are taking on more. And of course then the government is trying to stop the amount of immigration with regards to education as well. So at the moment it's a bit of a rock and a hard place for universities, and of course we've had the strikes over the summer and more coming as well. So many are questioning whether university is the natural option, which it did seem to be pushed not that long ago for people like us. I would say that it was just natural that we would go from education to education. There are so many routes now, and if the cost of going to a university really isn't likely to happen, there are many routes, thankfully, that are in the job market at the moment.
Yeah, you're so right. So many options now, thankfully. And I certainly don't envy students now. It must be incredibly stressful, especially with rents going up so very much. Alex Isaac, thank you so much for that report. We appreciate that. You'll be back later on this channel. Glastonbury 2023 is officially underway. Tens of thousands of music fans, they streamed into Worthy Farm in southwest England at the start of the music festival. Emily Eves, the daughter of the co-founder Michael Eves, opened the gates and welcomed the first of many revellers eager to set up camp in the 5-day event. Although rain played the spoilt sport for some time, it always does, to be fair, others appeared undeterred at the sight of the world's biggest open-air arts and music festival. Well, fans are now eagerly awaiting for the A-listers like Elton John, Guns N' Roses and the Arctic Monkeys to perform over the weekend. More than 200,000 people are expected to attend the festival, which was launched in 1970 by dairy farmer Michael Eves. Regarded as a major event in British culture, the festival is a hub of contemporary performing arts and takes place in Somerset in England. Manchester City's treble-winning captain Ilkay Gundogan is all set to join La Liga champions Barcelona in a free transfer. The German international has agreed to a 2-year deal with an option for another with the Catalan Giants after turning down an offer to stay with the English champions. Gundogan was Pep Guardiola's first recruit when he took over the reins at City, and that was in 2016. The 32-year-old proved to be the man for the big occasion, especially over the last 2 seasons where he scored crucial goals that helped City clinch many trophies. This season he was instrumental in helping City win the Premier League, FA Cup as well, and the elusive Champions League finally. Barcelona's ongoing financial mess though meant they were looking for free agents. And Gundogan, with his contract expiring on June 30th, well, it perfectly fits this bill for them. He could fill the void left by Sergio Busquets at the Camp Nou. City tried to keep Gundogan, though, at the Etihad, but are comfortable with him departing given their midfield options. Well, this move would also point to a track record of City allowing other players over 30 to leave when the time is correct. Well, these include Yaya Toure, Sergio Aguero, Bandamino and Pablo Zabaleta. Gundogan leaves the blue side of Manchester as one of their greatest players, though. During his 7-year stint, he played 304 games and scored 60 goals. The influential German won 12 major trophies with City that included 5 Premier League titles, 2 FA Cups, 4 League Cups and the Champions League. Thank you so very much indeed for your company. I've been Katie Pilbeam, live here from London, but we take you back to the international desk here now on WION World is One. Goodbye.
WION.
आने वाली खुशी के लिए एक ख्याल ही काफी है। इबिक्स कैश।